disposed in full. Wherever the claim involves SGST component, to the extent of the IGST or CGST is disbursed, and the order is referred to the state GST officers for disbursement of SGST component. Such cases there are about 450 and odd, 459 as per the last figure I have taken, which were referred by our department to the state GST authorities for disbursement of SGST component. We have very limited information and feedback about the SGST, except this sort of queries on and off. Some people come and tell us SGST officers are yet to disperse. That remedy can be sought from the concerned officers of SGST. We have no comments. The alternative is to pay the equivalent amount along with the interest at the rate of 18% while filing the next return. Incidentally, taking excess credit is an offence by itself, even if it is not utilized. Unlike the earlier law, for some time the department was treating mere taking itself was an offence and the notices were being issued, and then later on the courts held that if it is not utilized there is no interest liability, mere reversal was sufficient. But in the GST law prescribes even mere availment as an offence under 122, section 122 subsection 2 clause C says taking credit even without being utilized, it attracts a penalty, and the penalty is 10,000 rupees or the amount taken, whichever is higher. So if anybody has taken, even if it is an inadvertent mistake, it attracts the penal provisions. If such availment is with mens rea, with intention, then the penalty is different. Okay, where there is no intention and it is a mere inadvertent mistake, it is 10,000 or 10% of the credit taken, and where there is an intention, it is equal 10,000 or an amount equivalent to the credit involved. That is a small correction from my side. Thank you. So there is a facility to offset and correct, and that you have to see whether it was already utilized or not utilized. If it is already utilized, then you need to pay even interest and you are liable for penalty. Reduction, excess rate is charged or higher value is charged and some benefit is going to be passed on and all that, right? So this credit note has to be originated from the supplier. It cannot be by the recipient. Similarly, a debit note is a situation where the amount going to be charged by the supplier is higher than what is mentioned in the invoice. This is a situation where a credit note is warranted, and when they pass on the benefit, that means the value of the supply is coming down.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So the proportionate credit you are liable to reverse as per law. So wherever actually the the person is passing on the benefit of ITC also,
Yeah.
then that means the GST component also as a part of the credit being given, then the corresponding ITC has to be reversed. Fine, as per the terms of the contract, they are passing on certain amount of benefit, but they say that a lump sum is given, but it has no link with the GST component. That means that tax component paid at the time of supply is final, and he is not making any claim from the department, and he is not making any adjustment in his liability. So you also do not have a corresponding liability to reverse the ITC component. See, when there is a debit note, that means the consideration for supply is increasing and there is an additional liability. Definitely department will scrutinize thoroughly.
It's a credit note.
If it is a credit note, then the supplier has an option.
Sir.
If he wants to adjust the GST component also, the law provides for it, but it has to be done within a time frame. Second, the corresponding ITC component has to be reversed by the recipient. Suppose if it is being done without involvement of GST and treating this consideration for supply as fixed, then there is no problem. A circle office means you are sounding that it is a state.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to talk to them, And if you, as I already explained in response to somebody else's question, if the claim for ITC is genuine and if it is correctly reflected based on your actual procurements and correct invoices, supported by your payments
that is there.
and accountable utilization, consumption, etc., there should not be any problem, because many people are yet to file GSTR1, and even if they have filed, it may not be complete. Non-filing or incorrect filing of GSTR1 may be an offense, but it should not disentitle you from taking the credit as long as your receipts are correct and you have correctly accounted for, and this correctly, on your receipts are based on the correct discharge of GST. If you can produce the corresponding documents, perhaps you can satisfy them. Board, I am yet to know whether there is any this thing, but this is a very clear and simple issue. Earlier, if the R1 is filed, GSTR 2A is popping up. If 100% of your suppliers file correctly, 2A and your 3B should match. In the normal course, when initially the returns were conceptualized, there was a backward automatic IT-based authentication of the credit taken and claimed in the return. But now that 3B has been brought in as a temporary measure, there is no link between 3B and the 2A. So that discrepancies are seen, and we are also aware of it, and we have a list of them, and we are also conducting some check whether it is genuine or otherwise. So we also came across cases where incorrect 3Bs are claimed, and the amounts they are willing to reverse, and they are reversing with interest. So that shows that all is not good and everybody is not innocent.
And what about GSTR 1 filing, sir? That
Yeah, it is mandatory. It is mandatory, and non-filing attracts the penal provisions.
What the department is doing for non-filing?
Yes, we are. See the percentage. Yeah.
What is the trade doing about the non-filing?
Sir, how we can check it out?
No, allow me to ask that question.
How we can check it out, sir? We are procuring the material from registered
What would
dealers.
you suggest? Okay, allow me to ask this question. I am the senior most public servant in the central GST in Telangana. I am in many ways your servant.
But it is, sir, online.
Let me complete. Because this is a very sore point with me. How would you advise me, because you pay my salaries, how would you advise me to deal with those of your colleagues in the trade who, despite everything we have tried, Sam, Dam, Dand, Ved, everything we have tried, but they are not filing their returns? Please tell me what I should do with them. If I take strong measures, will you support me?
Yeah, why not, sir?
You will?
Yeah, definitely.
How many of you are here?
I will first, sir.
Please stop procuring from such people who are not filing GSTR. This is one strong measure which you can do.
That is our idea.
But we are trying to get it reconciled.
Let me tell you, one of my joint commissioners under Mr. Srinivas in this very hall 1 week ago, he is an engineer by trade.